How long does it take to truly know the heart of the one you love? 9 years? But where is the promise? 9 years? But where is the ring? Can love survive when only one carries the weight? What happens when commitment feels like a debt you must pay yourself? Is it love or is it captivity? Is it loyalty or fear disguised as duty? Can a woman build a future with a man who builds walls instead of a home? After 9 years, the truth cannot hide. After 9 years, the heart begins to ask, should she stay, should she go, or should she finally choose herself? Join me as we uncover the truth after 9 years. Hello, my wonderful, delicious family. You've tuned into Hello Delhi, the space where your stories are heard, your experiences valued, and your journey supported with care, confidentiality, and compassion. Now, before we journey into today's meaningful exchange, let's take a moment for our quote of the day. A small germ to light the path ahead. You know who you love, but you can't know who loves you. And of course, that's an interesting African proverb there by Anonymous. Straight up, let's delve into our exceptional case for today. And again, as usual, an awesome lady in her late 30s.
Hello, 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 out in Delhi. Hello, hello, tune in now, no delay, no delay, no delay. Hello, Delhi.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. About that time where we delve into the exceptional case for today. And of course, it's coming from an amazing young lady who is battling with issues regarding her 9 years relationship. She writes, "Hello, Mommy Delhi and the Delicious family. Thank you for this platform that helps us to learn and get free wise counsel. Mother, please help me with my own case. I am 37 and I've been in a relationship with my man for long now, actually 9 years. We started dating last year in the university, and though it had been on and off, I've only dated him and one other guy during our breakup. Mommy, he has actually dated many women but got angry when he found out that I dated someone during the breakup. Since then, he uses that to emotionally blackmail me during any argument. We have a child and everyone calls us husband and wife. But he's not doing anything for us. I am the one that pays for everything and I am tired, Mom. My main issue is I'm getting older and he's not talking about marriage. He keeps saying if he had money, he would have married me, but he doesn't want to lose me. He has warned me not to get pregnant again, but I hear that he has other children out there. Mommy, on my birthday, I was thinking he would propose because of the kind of conversations we were having, but he didn't. When I asked him what the plans are, he said that if I have money to borrow him, he will pay my bride price and then give the money back. I have the money, Mother, but I have been worried about the situation and I'm confused. The ring I'm wearing, I bought it for myself just to hide the shame. Is helping him with the bride price a problem, Mommy Delhi? I know one said we should not help men like these, but my family is not helping matters. I've wanted to leave, but it's so hard for me. Help me, Mother, and please hide my ID." Wow. From every indication, there's a whole lot to talk about today. And of course, I will hide your ID. But let me first of all start by thanking you for trusting this platform and for opening your heart so vulnerably. I honor your courage because healing and clarity begins with honesty. But like I always say, my role here is not just to counsel you, but is to hold up a mirror just so that you can see beyond the excuses and into the reality that shapes the future. What I'll share with you today will be rooted in the facts that you have presented. So I am not going to say anything out of what you said, but of course I would make some assumptions because of course You're not here to fill in the blank spaces, and of course, your boyfriend too is not here to say his own side of the story. Okay? So, in these silent spaces where your voice is absent, I will be making a lot of assumptions. It is my hope that this counsel will not only meet your expectations, but also empower you with clarity and confidence that you need in the season.
With MoneyFX, sending money home just got faster. Enjoy top exchange rates, low fees, and transfers that land in under 10 minutes. Whether it's school fees in Cameroon, hospital bills in Nigeria, or family support in Ghana, MoneyFX makes every transfer count. MoneyFX, fast money transfer when it matters most.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Just about that time where we jump on our analysis for the day. That moment where we get to break down this case for what it truly is. So yes, we have a boyfriend who has spent 9 years avoiding commitment. Then here we have, on the other hand, family members who are not offering real support. And of course, we have our anonymous case owner who is torn about whether to lend her boyfriend money to pay her own bride price. Let's kickstart with the boyfriend. 9 years of cohabiting, 9 years of dating. Now, who dates a woman for 9 years? 9 to 10 years, because it's not just 9 years, right? It's 10 years in essence. Now, picture this. Someone starts dating from first year in secondary school and still dating after PhD, meaning that if you were to be studying this person, you'd have had a PhD at studying your partner. It did not end there. After that, you still have 2-3 years added upon. I don't know if this now is internship or so, but this is 10 years of cohabiting. Now, while I know there is no time limit, I'm not God, and there's not been any fixed time for dating or courtship, prolonged dating as such comes with so much drama, pointing towards the dangers of prolonged courtship. You know what they say about familiarity? It breeds contempt. Any serious boyfriend will never need 9 years to know you. It is as straightforward as it is. Cohabitation is counterfeit to marriage. Now, before I get into other things, let me stop here and say this, not just to the men listening, to the women listening. Cohabitation is counterfeit to marriage. It looks like marriage, but it's such a time waster. Only irresponsible men, and I do not blink when I say this, only irresponsible men opt for such. Because any person, any man who is responsible, who values you, will not put you through such a school and make excuses. Sadly, you're too married to be married. Why would he be bothered? Why would he be bothered to do the right thing when you're already doing it for free? Why will I buy the milk when I can have the cow already? There's no pressure on him. There's no sense of responsibility, no accountability, zero respect for your family, zero regard for you, even for the institution of marriage. You cook, you clean, you have kids, you cater for his emotional needs, you even pay bills, you stay faithful to him. Those are duties of a wife whose bride price has been paid. But sadly, having husband duties and boyfriend prices. That's what's happening in this case. For 9 years, he has enjoyed the benefits of a relationship without taking responsibility, and this is where I really get frustrated. He uses emotional blackmail each time while you're dating him and when you're broken up to deflect his own multiple infidelities. There is a word for this, but we would get into it as we get along. This is what you said. When I asked him what the plans are, he said that if I have money to borrow him, he will pay my bride price, and after that, he would give me back the money. I have the money, mother, but I've been worried about the situation, but I'm confused. This is what this guy is doing to you. He hides behind the excuses of not having money to marry you, but he still manages to father children all over the place. Isn't this too glaring? This shows that the issue is not money. It is his lack of commitment. Matter of fact, he is intentional and not being committed to you. He emotionally blackmails you at every given opportunity. Narcissistic tendencies, to say the least. I rarely use this word, but this is a clear evidence of what is happening to you. And a touch of low self-esteem that is happening in this case. But let me say this to the men especially. Dear men, especially the single ones. Bride price is a litmus test for men. Bride price is symbolic of a man's honor, his responsibility and willingness to provide for the family that he intends to bring forth. We are not selling these women. No, we are saying prove that the family that you're about to get into, you're capable of doing it. That you're capable of taking someone else's daughter. Mind you, this daughter was taken care of before you met her. Now, I'm not talking about the exorbitant bride prices out there, because yes, some African families could really exaggerate. I'm talking about the basic minimum. Like I said, that litmus test that proves your manhood, that proves that you're ready, that you're willing to take responsibility, not just of yourself, but of a woman and the many kids that you possibly have. Because yes, marriage is an enormous responsibility. And if you cannot afford bride price, you will likely not be able to afford basic necessities, much less care for a woman and children, just like in this situation. So no, these things, you can't make these things up. It is as clear as night and day. Asking a woman to fund her own bride price is a violation of her dignity and culture. If you cannot take that step, what foundation are you laying for the marriage? What are you teaching even the kids you will be having or you're already having? Another really frustrating part about this story, sometimes when you listen to these stories, you want to, just punch the screen. But like I said, it takes honesty to get to this level, and I appreciate that. And that's why sometimes I have to be calm to explain all of this. But the fact that he is warning you not to get pregnant again while having kids out there. So you've had one kid, and I'm almost certain that it was not planned. And then he's telling you categorically, you're not going to have other kids. But he's busy going around and, spreading his seed. My concern is, how don't you see this, sister? Isn't it so glaring? A man who constantly reminds you of your mistakes, but never acknowledges his, is not protecting you. He is manipulating you. How do I scream this so you get it through this? This is manipulation at its finest. He uses guilt as a weapon, not love. So he will guilt treat you. You start second guessing yourself. However, he knows the game. He is very intentional at what he's doing. He is conscious of the outcome he wants, and you're giving him exactly. 9 years is more than enough time for clarity. If after almost a decade he is still not ready, the truth is he is choosing not to be ready with you. And I insist it is you, not another person. Of course, we'll get into that. Time will not change his decision nor his actions. His behavior shows a pattern of irresponsibility, infidelity, and avoidance of accountability. This goes without saying. You need to use your tongue to count your teeth, like we always say. Without genuine transformation, these patterns will hardly or would only continue. They would not stop. Understand something, sister. A man who makes you carry every financial burden is showing you the reality of life with him. And sometimes I always say that the men they show themselves, they truly present themselves for who they truly are. We just keep living in denial, and we do not want to accept. Because if he keeps telling you, you've been the one taking financial responsibility, and he's okay with it. I'm not talking about a man who is hard up at some point and he wants to step in to help you. I'm talking about a man who is comfortable with you doing that, and he gets to the extent of even asking you to do thing that is meant to be honorable and dignifying for a man. He's asking you to do that. It is very telling. If you are paying now while single, you will pay double when he gets married to you. Sadly, this marriage is not coming forth. The proposal delay on your birthday was not oversight. It was avoidance. He knows what you want, but he's intentionally withholding that from you. Like, I know you listen to me, you see how I want to jump into this place and just hug you and tell you these things. And I hope that this energy transfers to you getting exactly what you're meant to get as I'm talking. Enough of the boyfriend side. It's a lot we will be talking about, but let's get into family members and community members who always have a thing or two to say about a relationship that is going 40, or let's talk about family members. This is what you said. We have a child and one calls us husband and wife, but he's not doing anything for us. I'm sorry that I had to laugh here, because yes, it's laughable. You see this thing, community people, family people, society, social media, and all whatnot, they can so wed you. They can put ideas in your head. They can give you the illusion of what marriage is all about. But understand, it is you. You say you're bearing the burden, but people don't know that. It is just thanks to your honesty that we get to understand. And this is what a lot of, especially women, go through. They would sit and listen to what people are saying. Timelines for them, deadlines for them. And unknown to them, they will be the one bearing the burden in this marriage. And the other people will only be there to laugh at them. And sometimes the people truly know, because if he's doing all of this, these family members know. They're putting you the pressure. They have seen how much of a quote-unquote irresponsible person, quote-unquote a vagabond he has been. But guess what? They keep pushing you. So at the end of the day, you are still the one to face all of this, the mockery. Because yes, they will mock you. Societal pressure. People will succumb you to nonsense and still laugh at you. They call you husband and wife, yet you carry the burden by yourself. That should tell you something. Family pressure gets to worsen the situation most of the time. Because like I always say, family members truly don't understand what people are going through. They will not know, especially if you've not exposed it to them. And because in this situation, you're paying the bills, and for the most part, you don't tell them. They are assuming that this man is financially okay and everything is fine, and you are now the one who is the problem. And so the pressure could be coming from the angle of they just want you to do the right thing or him to do the right thing. And they're thinking at some point you have become so comfortable with doing, the come we stay, cohabitation, and, so they're trying to say, oh, they're just being selfish, wanting bride price, because that's what benefits them the most. That pressure is usually destructive to relationships. Because when you stay in there to avoid stigma, at the end of the day, you bear the burden. Instead of encouraging her to just manage, please remind her and insist of her dignity and the family's well-being. It is very important. Question I need to ask every family member listening to this, of course, on setups that are similar to this, is, are you really protecting her, or you're just protecting the culture and you're looking out for your own selves, the things you stand to benefit in these situationship, because this is truly a situationship that you are nurturing and enabling and encouraging. So next person, and I'm very, very excited to get into analyzing our anonymous contributor. She's 37 years old, and yes, she is at a vulnerable state. Let me say this. I'll categorize everything I've read in your case, the words you've used, the highlights of your issue. So let me categorize this under what I call mature singles. Mature singles are adult women, especially from 35 above, who are yet to be married. One of the major characteristics of such women is that they tend to settle and lower their standards quite a lot. They tend to ignore red flags and give a pass for a man's excesses. Now, permit me use the word desperate. I know it's not a very friendly word, but this is the right word that describes many mature singles. And what we know, anything done out of desperation does not amount to much. It hardly ever works. I like to think that if your kid sister had brought this same situation in front of you, you would laugh and and be as straightforward and say, sister, this is wrong, don't do this, because again, it is very glaring, right? But again, like we said, the heart wants what the heart wants, and when the heart is in love, it is blinded. They say love is blind. So this is clearly a situation of love is blind. And so I do not want to overhit hard like I said, I just like the fact that you're very honest with the details that you have given. But again, you would also permit me really break this down for you the way it truly is. First of all, you call him my man. More like my husband. You see, so you are single until you are married. Longevity in relationship does not suddenly graduate into relationship. It does not. If you date him again for the next 100 years and stay with him cohabiting, it does not translate to marriage. No matter how much you date somebody, be in courtship with that person, as long as your bride price has not been paid, he's not your man. You can only claim ownership of a man who has actually come to your family and done the needful, pay your bride price and taken you to his abode. But no, in this situation, guess what? You are the one who is paying for the bills. You're doing all of what he's meant to be doing. And yes, you are tired because you are meant to be tired. Yes, it is too much. At 37, age and biological clock is real. I will not overemphasize on this. And while, like I said last time, it looks like it's social construct, there is truth to some of the social construct that we hold out here. I can't sit here and tell you that 37 is okay, you still have time. No, I'm equally as concerned about you. And let me join you, ask yourself. He has said you should not have any kids. Matter of fact, he's not doing anything to stop that. It is your responsibility to protect yourself from being pregnant. Pregnancy, that takes two to tango. But then no, he is insisting. The biological clock is real. So when you get out of the time of having kids, what would you do? He has his kids out there, literally living his life at his terms, and you're succumbing to it. The fear of starting over should never justify staying in bondage. 9 years is already a lifetime. Yeah, because that's how some people get married just for 9 years. Matter of fact, it's less than that. So yes, that is enough time for him to have known you and said, you know what, about time I do the needful. But no, he's not doing that. So no, you will not leave the concerns about biological clock, which of course you're meant to be concerned about, and now worried about him because he's clearly telling you not to do it. But again, it's a selfish way of looking at it. We started dating, these are your words. We started dating last year in the university, and though it had been off and off, I've only dated him and one other guy during our breakup. Matter of fact, I'll tell you categorically, you've only dated this guy. You've only known one guy all your life. If this were to be marriage, I'll salute you. But no, you've known one guy because you have not noticed that it has been the reason why you haven't found a suitable person or given heed to the suitors who are coming your way. I like to think that in your 37 years on earth, you are beautiful enough to have attracted more than 5 men. But no, you insist on this because that's what you have told yourself. This is the only man who can truly love me. That's what is in your head. If I leave him now, where would I go to? How will I manage this? How do I start up again? The fear of starting all over is what is keeping you in this situation. Shit. But trust me, if you had taken a leap of faith the first time, second, third, fourth year, fifth year, you would have been settled. Because clearly you are a decent woman, deserving of an amazing person to call your husband. You are 37. You've only dated one guy who does not see the need to take you to his to your parents. Neither his. Okay? Not because you are married, but because you are cohabiting. I have to insist on this. Come, we stay. The longer you stay, the more difficult it is for you to walk away, thereby depriving you of potential and amazing suitors out there. Next thing you said, Mommy, he has actually dated many women, but he gets angry when he found out that I dated someone else, and during our breakup, since then he uses that to emotionally blackmail you. Yes. This screams lack of self-worth at its finest. A man clearly disrespects you this much, emotionally violates you. He is free to sleep around, and even during breakup, he still expects you to be faithful to him. It is typical of what we call, they say, Nigerians call this C finish, meaning that there's nothing about you that bothers him. He's not panicked by anything. He has literally There's nothing that he has not seen. He's literally seen everything about you. Let me say this. Men take us the way we present ourselves. You've shown him you can tolerate bullshit. So whatever else he does, you're willing to stick around. Trust me, he is not going to treat another woman like he's doing you. Do you know why? The standards that woman has set. This is the difference between a man dating a woman for 9, 10 and many years, and that same man marrying after 6 months of dating another woman. And then you start asking yourself, after everything I did for him, usually after everything you did for, the more reason, the standard you set and the values we place on ourselves. That is the difference between you and another woman. Walk away from his life now and see this man getting married to another woman in less than 3 months. He's not going to do the PhD thingy. He's not going to talk about wanting to know you. Let me test you and see if you're wifey enough. No. Why? Standard. Boundaries. Values. This is what's happening. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow, what you stop, and what you reinforce. Your self-worth sets the standard and the treatment you accept from others. If you've not had anything up to this moment, please let this sink in you. Next thing you talk about, you carry the financial burden. You pay every bill and even bought yourself a ring out of the shame. Now you're considering funding your own bride price. Sister, like I said, I do not want to be hard, but every time I read this, I keep wanting to just scream. Let me take it nice and slow. What you're doing is not sacrifice. It is self-erasure, meaning that you have literally sucked off yourself of every self-worth. That is what is happening. Any woman who is paying their bride price contemplating it has gone off themselves. They're looking for anything to call their man, any reason to say they are in a happy marriage, just so the world can see them, because deep within you, you're tired. Deep within you, you know this is not working. So what's the point? Society and societal expectations. What would people say and all whatnot? This is what is keeping you in here. But let me say this to the women. I always have things to say to my ladies. It is us, because we have a lot to learn. We have a lot to adjust. Yes. It is utter disrespect to your family giving money to a man to pay your bride price. Every woman who does this is clearly desperate and has no regard for their family name. I'll say this unapologetically. Secondly, paying your own bride price makes you naked in the spirit. What do I mean by this? It is as good as you're single, meaning you have no traditional coverage, no cultural coverage. And since marriage is highly traditional, you are sadly unmarried. This is what has happened. When you decide to usurp the man's role, you are making yourself unmarried, even when people have come together, sat, eat, drink, and all whatnot. You have unmarried yourself. So there's no backing. You cannot pay your own bride price. That is an abomination as far as culture is concerned. Mind you, marriage is traditional. When your bride price has been paid, that is typically what is considered marriage. If you go to church and they wear the veil and you stand at the altar and your bride price has not been paid, you are not married. If you go to court and do whatever signing, your bride price has not been paid, you are not married. And this goes out to every single, especially single ladies, because the desperation of marriage nowadays is alarming. Marriage is only marriage if your bride price has been paid. The other, court solemnization, church solemnization, these are necessary formalities that have to happen, depending on your beliefs, your religious background, and the cover it has on the kids. For instance, legal, the signing, it has some backing. after the marriage, a lot of things could come up. But when they talk about you being married, it means your bride price has been paid. So if any other person is telling you to take the third step, to take the fourth step, if the pastor is telling you, I will just bless you, don't worry, even if they've not paid your bride price, that's a scam. If some legal professionals are telling you they can sign whatever it is and don't worry about that, that is the reason why, if you notice, if you go to sign your marriage at the registry, you're asked to prove that the bride price has been paid. This is very telling, and if it's not been paid, they will not go ahead with it. And every right thinking pastor would ask the same question: has your bride price been paid? Otherwise, you're not meant to be doing that. It tells you one supersedes the others. And this is the traditional bit. So you think about the part where a man is meant to be playing that role and you have usurped it for desperation. So no, sister, you are mistaking history for destiny. Just because you've spent 9 years with him does not mean your future must belong to him. Time invested in the wrong person is not wasted if it teaches you to walk away. Oh, I love this. Time invested in the wrong person is not wasted if it teaches you to walk away. At least that's what you've benefited. That's your own return on investment, right? It hurts, but it is not wasted. You think you're buying peace, but in essence, you're only renting moments of silence before the next cycle of neglect, because again, it is just temporal. So that moment where, like it's like a drug. I feel better because, okay, I've done something to cover up for that, but the next minute, the pains and everything is screaming at your face like that. Let's move over to the next thing. You already know the truth about the situation. You know why? Because you're tired and you're confused. But exhaustion in itself is a sign. It means your spirit is rejecting what your heart has forced you to endure. This is what has truly been happening to you. And when we get into the solution bit of it, I hope the things I tell you will truly count for something. And again, it will make all the change and the difference that you so seek in your life at this very moment. Stay with us as we get into the solution bit of our case for today.
This is a clear, sharp look at the case that gets right to the main point. In short, here's the tough situation the lady is dealing with. She is giving in a one-sided relationship. Is this loyalty when only one person is building? Or is it bondage when the other refuses to grow, bearing unequal sacrifices? What is love worth if you are the only one paying the price? In bills, in patience, in dignity, facing a partner's infidelity? What kind of man tells you not to have another child, yet sows seeds elsewhere, dealing with lack of commitment? And what does it mean when a man asks you to pay your own bride price? Is that marriage or mockery? The answer is on the way, and it's starting right now. Ready? Let's go.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's move from pain to possibilities. Healing begins not in leaps, but in steps. So my dear sister, your story reflects a strength you have carried on your shoulders far too long. 9 years of sacrifice, paying every bill, and even buying your own ring just to cover shame. This shows that you have been responsible all along. So let us applaud that aspect, because yes, on one hand, we've touched on the negative or the downsides of it, but at this point, let us applaud you for doing that. That's bravery, that is strength, that is enormous responsibility. This is a woman who will not sit and just let her life go down the drain. She is saying, if he cannot do it, I can do it. However, there are some adjustments that need to be made. One thing you should understand, love and marriage were never meant to be one-sided. It was never meant for struggle. Yes, marriage is sacrifice, but again, to what extent? A man who truly wants to build a home with you will not ask you to sponsor your own bride price. Bride price is not just tradition, it is responsibility. We already established that. It is responsibility, it is respect, and it is honor. If you lend him that money, you may gain a ceremony, but you will lose the meaning of marriage in itself. This is not a foundation for peace. Another thing you should understand, your child needs to see strength modeled, not silent suffering. Staying in that relationship out of shame or out of fear would only keep you in chains. People may talk, but they do not live in your house. They do not carry your burdens, and they will not rescue you when things fall apart. The solution is not in giving him money. It is in giving yourself freedom. Step back. You breathe and reclaim your dignity. You have to choose to build a life where you are valued, respected, and loved without conditions. If marriage comes, let it come as a gift, not as a debt that you have to finance. My dear sister, love without respect is bondage. A man who uses emotional blackmail in conflict is not leading with love. He is leading with control. That is not the soil where trust can grow. Do not confuse history with destiny. 9 years may feel like a reason to stay, but time invested in the wrong direction does not in any way guarantee a good future. Sometimes the bravest decisions is to walk away, so you do not lose the next 9 years as well. Because yes, if you stay there, you'll continuously stay there. Your worth is not in a ring you bought yourself. A ring without honor and commitment is nothing but a decoration, or just an ornament, or just a jewelry. True marriage must come with respect, with responsibility, and truth. And as far as family pressure, remember this: they will not live in that marriage with you. Their voices are loud, but your peace is louder. Protect your dignity first, and everything else will align in time. So I'll say this: it is time to walk away, to restore your dignity, and to respect the honor that your family truly deserves. Give it 9 years and you'll still be in that same position. Now, when I say it is time to walk away, I only say it's time to walk away, but I know it is not easy. But it's not been easy all along. So what is the worst that could happen? You ask yourself this question. Because sometimes the way forward is making a U-turn. You have to reverse before you accelerate. And if you understand what that means, this means walking away will hurt you at the moment. Walking away would be devastating. Walking away will be confusing. It feels like I'm starting all over. But it's the best thing that you can possibly do. But how do you walk away? I know that that is the greatest question every other person is asking. Let's find that out in the nugget section. But before then, we're going to jump on the comment section to see what other Delicious are saying about this case. Stay with us.
Wow, that's a lot to take in. Let's review the big ideas. What should she do next? Reclaim your freedom, step back, breathe, and prioritize your dignity over financial or emotional obligations. Value respect and tradition. Do not fund a marriage. Insist on honor, responsibility, and true commitment. Protect your child and self. Model strength and set boundaries instead of staying out of fear or shame. Choose wisely, even if it means leaving. Walking away from a toxic relationship preserves your future and self-worth. Each point gets right to what making real choices is about, not just guessing, but understanding. This is honest advice that matters in real life.
Comment section, comment section. I love my comment section. I love reading comments because, of course, it takes us to other angles, things that I might have missed out. And of course, the Delicious are always here to remind us, right? Our first commenter for the day, Ngole Quinta Ahone. Hello Quinta, how are you? Quinta says, he probably got married during the period of your breakup. If you try giving him that money, he will have heartache. I don't want to use attack. Leave the relationship. Forget about your age. Leave and you'll find someone again. At least you can cater for yourself. Awesome comment there from Ngole Quinta Ahone. Our next commenter is Stephanie Due. That man doesn't take care of you and the child. Do you think getting married would change him? Marriage only amplifies character. Learn to love yourself and give yourself value. You should be happy and living your life as an individual. A partner is a plus to your life, not the main character in your life. Oops, I love this. That's a punch there, man. A partner is a plus and not the main character in your life. Nah, this is beautiful. Thank you so much, Stephanie. And we have Betty's Wholesales Importation. Betty's saying that China, Turkey, Nigeria. So that's your page name, okay? Shout out to you, and I hope that people can patronize your work. Yeah, so she's saying leave or regret it. Cut all links with that man. He is deceiving you, and leave him as soon as possible. He won't marry you, yeah, big mommy. Yusuf, that's being sarcastic, but I get you. Stay Dellycious. Only ladies talking today. There's not been any man talking. Comment section. We need to have more men commenting. Yeah, has to be balanced. 2 men, 2 women. So Stay Dellycious is saying, leave and move on. Better people will come for you. They can't because he has been blocking you all this while. Take the ring off your finger and move on. Oh well, I mean, every other person's comments kind of tallies with what I've said. And so, sister, hopefully that this is your last bus stop listening to us. And for the rest of you at home who are watching, we're hoping and trusting that you've heed to this counsel and get the desirable results that we intend. Just about that time for us to get to our nuggets, where our nuggets today will be talking on how to move on from a toxic relationship if you are stuck.
With MoneyFX, sending money home just got faster. Enjoy top exchange rates, low fees, and transfers that land in under 10 minutes. Whether it's school fees in Cameroon, hospital bills in Nigeria, or family support in Ghana, MoneyFX makes every transfer count. MoneyFX, fast money transfer when it matters most.
Nugget section, yummy nuggets. I love this beat, and I'm particularly interested in this because, again, we're looking at a way forward on how to move on from a toxic relationship, not just for our sister, but every other person who has found themselves in such a situation. The first thing I would say, recognize the need to change. This means that you're going to acknowledge that the situationship, I call it situationship, you're into is unhealthy, and commit to creating a better future for yourself. Because the worst thing you can do for yourself is lie that no, it's fine and it can be better. Once a relationship is bad, once it's toxic, the way forward is out. The next thing, you have to prioritize yourself. If you notice, most often people in toxic relationships, they've literally put themselves second, and to them it's about the other person and not them, and while the other person is living life at their terms, they are busy doing every other thing just to make the other person happy. At that level, you've sucked yourself every ounce of self-worth. But then again, to get out of this, you have to prioritize your self-care. You have to engage in activities that would nurture your mind and your body, such as, going out, jogging, gymming, exercise, spending time with nature, especially. Healing starts from there. The third thing you're going to do is be patient with yourself. Healing takes time. So practice self-compassion and allow yourself to process your emotions at your own pace. Not the pace of Mommy Delly, not the pace of the people out there, not your family members, not even the person you've been in that toxic relationship with. Please be patient with yourself, because yes, sometimes we want the healing to happen just now because the pain is real. But no, it's going to take time, and taking time does not negate any other thing. It just means that you value yourself enough to give yourself ample time worth healing. The next thing I would say is reflect on your experiences. Sometimes when we are caught up with wanting to get out of a toxic relationship, we fail to see the positive sides of that relationship. And I always say, no matter how bad somebody is, they must have had one or two things. And even if they were completely bad, they must have given you experiences that were good. So yes, you have to be honest about the situation. You have to consider what you have learned from the relationship, and what you've learned from the relationship has to do with what you would use in the next relationship. This means that if you gave yourself on a platter, this is not what you're doing in the next relationship. If you cut yourself short most of the time, then you're going to do the opposite of the relationship. If you had lost your self-worth, it tells you the next relationship I'm getting into, I must have properly healed and have a healthy version of myself before I'm getting into another relationship with some other person. And the signs, I am not going to neglect them. All the red flags I neglected, all the standards that I break, I will not do it in the other relationship. This is just you learning, because in trying to heal, you might forget all of this, which are very, very important. This is the essence of the experiences that we gather, whether in a good or a bad relationship. The next thing, you have to be honest about the situation with your close ones, your family members and your loved ones. Most of them put you pressure because, again, you have shown a side that is not existing. You think about it. But when you are open and honest and say, I'm sorry that this is what I've painted. Why? Because I was desperate. Because I'm all of this. Your family members will now stand with you. Your friends will stand with you and help you through the healing process. That in itself, I will not be doing any justice to this if I do not talk about really walking away. Because sometimes when you say getting out of a toxic relationship and you talk about all the self-care and the rest of the things, people are stuck with that. So they want to self-care in the presence of that person or still with the person that is having a relationship with. No, walking away would mean walking from the person. And this would entail not explaining yourself to that person. Because the tendency is, I always want to explain myself so they can have a pity party. I always want to explain myself so they can understand. They already know. Explaining yourself is just explaining much of what they don't want. Giving much again is just giving much of what they already have and they do not appreciate. So you're walking away. You do not tell them because it is on your terms. You look for a perfect time, especially for those who are cohabiting when they are not available. You pack out. Now, this is not as easy, but it is going to be worth it because you cannot stay in the same environment and heal. More like doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Then you have to cut contact. When you walk away, the natural tendency is that they would want to get back to you. Out of guilty conscience, out of true repentance, whatever. But because that setup was toxic, I do not encourage you to still have contact with them. You're going to block them and not have access to you. The most you can do while you've walked away is to tell them, I don't need contact with you anymore. Do not try to look for me. I'm fine and I will be fine. Whatever it is. Because if you try again, explaining yourself or at least wanting to hear them speak, it is only going to take you back into the arms of the same people you have no business being with. When you have done that, it is not going to be easy. Guess what? You seek professional counseling. Once you've sorted out professional counseling, hopefully, and fingers crossed, it is your last bus stop and it works and you become again the person you used to know. If it doesn't work, or maybe just halfway through, I always say this. You might not be religious, you might not even know about prayers, but then I recommend it all the time. Prayers work. Prayers is saying that I have gotten to the end of myself and I need God to be part of this equation, because sometimes the relationship is so toxic that it has gotten to a point where our souls have been taken off. Because remember that it is your mind, your will and your emotion that has been taken off, meaning that the will to be able to carry or do the right things is not there. And it is going to take God to help you out of this situation. And so while you are seeking and doing therapy, the self-care, and setting boundaries and talking to family members and being honest with the situation, there is God who would surpass all of these stages and steps and precipitate your healing. And before long, you are not just whole, you are hale and hearty, spirit, body and soul. This is the most I could come up with, and I hope, again, like I always say, that this is your last bus stop. Not just to you, but every other person listening. Thank you all so much, my dear Delicious, for staying up true to this moment. But as we conclude, remember that everyone has their own unique story. Your experiences, your wisdom and your questions enrich Hello Delhi. If this episode resonated with you, please like and share and subscribe to help us reach more people. If you have a story, a dilemma or a trial to share, send your case to us. Your privacy is paramount and your story could guide others. Together, we're going to find healing and clarity. Thank you so much for being part of our delicious family. Until next time, stay blessed and shine your light. This is your intentional host, Delly Singah. I love you all and stay blessed.
Hello, hello, hello. Audience, Delly. Hello, hello. Tune in now, know